What it is, everybody. Happy Thursday, January 15th, 2026. Big day today, big show. It seems like the United States is declaring war on the state of Minnesota. So that is where civil war is going to break out. It looks like quite possibly. So I'll cover that news for you today. We've been talking about ICE a lot. We've been talking about their tactics. We have some more video of things going on in Minnesota. Protesters getting randy, maybe not the right word. Protesters getting out of hand. We have more ICE detainments for questionable reasons. But Donald Trump says that he will institute the Insurrection Act if Minnesotans don't get their act together. So I have that video for you, or I'm sorry, I have that Truth Social post for you today. We have surged troops into Minnesota, more federal troops than there are local police officers by a long shot, like 5 times as many. So many Minnesotans feel like they are under siege right now by the federal government. Some of them are beginning to misbehave. There was another person who got shot. No video of it. They were beating some ICE agent with either a broom or a shovel and got shot in the leg. Pirate Justin says, rowdy? Yeah, not Randy. Randy means something different, but maybe Randy too. So I will give you the latest news from Minnesota. We can speculate if this is where the Civil War begins. So the Civil War that I've put in my title many times to attract viewers, and which Tim Pool keeps telling us is going to happen. So we will see whether it happens or not. Okay, I know I used the wrong word. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me, though. I appreciate you guys. In other news, Trump announced his healthcare plan today. So I'll give you it's a 5-minute video with his proposition for how they're going to fix healthcare. There's a viral video today, let them eat broccoli, for how you can feed yourself cheaply using the new food pyramid, which shows ribeye steak at the top, and it's reversed, remember. So the ribeye's up here, and it says you should eat a lot of it, but ribeye steak costs like $60. So people are wondering how they can afford to eat healthily. So someone from the Trump administration came out today and suggested a meal option, which is controversial. That's all. So I'll play you that video. That's a viral video from today from the Trump administration, which I'm sure you can't wait for. The ADL, I have video from the ADL. We always have information about that group. Talking about how they're working together with the right wing and left wing to cancel everybody, including Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and Hassan Piker. Haven't talked about Nick Fuentes much lately. He's an interesting character. Nick Fuentes supports the world domination. So I haven't been tuning into his show, but Nick Fuentes, and he supports, and he wants to cancel anti-Semites, actually. Very curious individual. He does want anti-Semites, low IQ anti-Semites, out of the Republican movement. So everybody fights each other. Candace Owens was attacking Nick Fuentes because he doesn't believe in the satanic conspiracy. Candace Owens is talking about the satanic conspiracy that was Jeffrey Epstein, I guess. People defending Jeffrey Epstein, saying he wasn't a pedophile. Some people saying he was. So anyway, lots of stuff going on in the news. I'll show you pretty much everything. This is a news show. You tune in to get everything that happens in the news today. I have the various clips from Carolyn Leavitt's speech. I broke news on the show yesterday that Trump was tacoing out of bombing Iran, and we have tacoed out. Trump always chickens out. So Trump did taco on Iran, and apparently we're going to be meeting with them now at the request of various countries, including Israel, apparently, who didn't want us to attack Iran. And some Iranians are upset at us, and Lindsey Graham is very upset. he was really thinking that we were going to do some bombing, but we have decided not to do bombing for now, and for different reasons. So, which are probably correct, really. It's better that we don't, but we decided not to bomb Iran, even though Donald Trump kept saying that that was what was going to happen if they kept killing protesters. Protesters who Israel has been arming, actually. So I have that news too today. Let's see what else is in the news. I have did I say there's a new healthcare plan? I did say that. So new healthcare plan, chickening out of Iran. In Venezuela, he met with Machado today, who apparently gave him her Nobel Peace Prize, even though the Nobel Peace Prize Committee came out and said that you are not allowed to transfer a Nobel Peace Prize. It's not part of the rules. You can't just give it to somebody else. But apparently she did give Trump her Nobel Peace Prize, which is apparently what he always wanted. And will never win anymore now that we've established a new world order. So I have I said in a video the other day, controversially, that this was Trump's new world order. Well, one of his people is on TV saying it's Trump's new world order, and he is going to announce the details of his new world order at Davos, the appropriate place to announce the new world order under Trump. Complete world domination. So a few updates on Greenland, a few updates about Venezuela, and a little bit about the advancement of AI. So those are different things in the news today. And we'll play you everything that's in the news that you guys want to catch up on. So Lion says Nick has been giving horrible takes lately. Yeah, I'm surprised at Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes supports. He definitely supports ICE killing Renee Good, 100%. No sympathy for Renee Good, 100%. And then he also supports this world domination thing, which is just interesting considering he's anti-intervention when it comes to bombing Iran. So somebody asked me, Bob Ross, Antichrist. Hey, Nathan, have you listened to that William Sasha Riley interview or heard about it? What do you think, big man? I have not or heard about it. This is the first. William Sasha Riley means nothing to me, but I can look into it. So as always, I will engage with you people in the chat. You guys can tell me what is in the news for you, what you guys want to talk about, and we will try to deliver a pleasing show for everyone involved. So get ready for it. We'll play the intro. We'll grift. We'll show you what's in the news. Okay. Thanks for joining me. Okay. Cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, the real news and nothing else. If you would like to support this type of broadcast, you can do so by giving the equivalent of super chats at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. That's a wonderful independent platform that supports people like me who are currently demonetized completely on this YouTube channel because I am harmful from saying the truth about COVID vaccines back in the day. So you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can leave coffees and leave a message, and I will read them before the end of every show. If you have requests in there, I can do my best to administer to those requests. We also have payment options at Cash App with $ LTV411. I am also banned from PayPal and Venmo. You can also go to truthclothing.io. That's our clothing store. I am wearing this shirt today. It says Bitcoin Saves. It's a really cool design. Bitcoin is doing fine right now. Bitcoin is doing well. It's good to buy some. It's good to promote yourself as being a cryptocurrency supporter and show people that you know what's going on. You can buy that shirt and others at truthclothing.io. This is our store, which is in a liquidation phase. It will be until we sell out of every single shirt. So get them while you can in your size. Many sizes are sold out. Go to truthclothing.io. You can get your propaganda baseball tee, Truth Matters baseball. You can get your Question Everything shirts, your cryptocurrency shirts. Again, everything is priced to move. $10 and $5 for the most part on the website. We have this nice Bitcoin Safe sweatshirt, which is $20. That's the only thing on the site more than $10. So check them out while you can. Truthclothing.io. And a reminder, we have lots of women's styles of our most popular design, which says Question Everything. And make sure to get those, get them in bulk, get them while you can. Truth Revolution Clothing, truthclothing.io. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right. So we're talking about Trump's New World Order. Somebody said Trump's against the New World Order. That's what somebody told me in the chat when I put that in my title. Trump is anti-New World Order. Well, here is Kevin Hassett, who might end up being our newest Fed chair, talking about what's going to happen at Davos.
Davos, we know there's the big housing speech. What else can we anticipate?
There's also going to be some look at the new world order that President Trump is creating. And, a lot of countries that were, whining about tariffs 6 months ago and saying that President Trump was going to harm their economies had pretty good years. And I think it's in part because people recognize that President Trump has made it so that we are the shining city on the hill again. We are the engine of global economic growth because the U.S. is really that strong again.
Yeah, and I think it's Davos.
Trump is going to announce the New World Order. So, and tariffs are doing great. The Supreme Court was supposed to rule on tariffs. They keep punching it down the road. There have been a number of bets you could make on Kalshi and Polymarket about when the tariff decision was going to come down. It is widely assumed, per the betting markets, that the tariffs will get struck down, and that it was supposed to happen a week ago. It was supposed to happen yesterday, and they keep delaying their decision. So not sure what's going on with the Supreme Court there. But there is a ruling on tariffs that is widely expected to go against the administration. Inflation is still not good. Food prices in December went up the most month over month that they had in several years. Food inflation in particular, grocery prices. And the PPI numbers came out, which were still around 3%. The CPI inflation came out at 2.6, I believe. And Trump took a victory lap. That inflation is down. But the prices of things continue to go up, and we certainly see the prices of things going up as far as commodities like silver, gold, and copper, amongst other things. So we may continue to have out of control inflation. Well, maybe not out of control, but we may continue to have inflation this year, assuming we don't go into a depression. Lots of people are saying the economy is going to run hot this year. There's lots of credit expanding. So silver is still around $92. We try to report on that every time since we got a request to do that. Gold is still over $4,600. Bitcoin is over 95K, I believe, right now. Bitcoin's at 95.6. So those things which are supposed to save you when the dollar totally collapses are going up in value. So it is possible that the dollar will become worth less and less and less and less and less. And so here's your viral video of the day. Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture, was asked I believe. I haven't even watched the video yet. I just saw what it says. Was asked, I believe, how you stick to the new food pyramid, which I think is pretty based. Whole milk, cheese, salmon, chicken, beans, and other things, butter, and some other nice things are all on that inverted food pyramid where the bread now is on the bottom. The difference between the new food pyramid and the old food pyramid is the old food pyramid was cheap because you could just load up on cereal and Wonder Bread and not eat much red meat. Now you're supposed to have steaks. So anyway, here's Brooke Rollins comically responding to how you can eat affordably and stick to the plan.
I think the question you're asking, and it's a really important one, is while we're asking Americans to reconsider what they're eating, are we actually asking Americans, especially those who are living on the margins, are we asking them to spend more on their diet? And the answer to that is no. We've run over 1,000 simulations. It can cost around $3 a meal for a piece of chicken, a piece of broccoli, corn tortilla, and one other thing. And so there is a way to do this that actually will save the average American consumer money.
You've done the analysis on that, because that's one of the criticisms I heard from some, nutrition folks who said, like with the event you mentioned, all the protein, saying, all right, well, steak, obviously, it's expensive. So are you asking people to spend more money with these new dietary guidelines than in the past? You say no?
That's right. And the answer to that is absolutely no. Now, there are, as most things are coming down, there are a few outliers. Beef has been one of them, but ground beef is coming down. But here's the real.
There you go. So anyway, a piece of chicken, a piece of broccoli, a corn tortilla, and one other thing, not even that specific about it. That sounds pretty basic to most people. A piece of chicken. You can actually, for $3, yeah, you might even be able to do a little better than that. You can have at least 5 corn tortillas, but that's loading up too much on the wrong end of the pyramid. Corn tortillas are very cheap. One piece of broccoli, one piece of chicken, one corn tortilla, and something else. So anyway, that's the let them eat broccoli quote from Brooke Rollins. They ran thousands of simulations to come up with that. So I don't know. I eat pretty cheap. Eggs. I have eggs with a piece of toast, with a piece of sourdough, which I think is good for you. And I have pasta. I have too much of the carbohydrates, but that's what's cheap with meat sauce, ground beef. But it would be more expensive to eat the way they suggest you eat. So it is difficult to stick to the food pyramid if you're poor like me. Chicken and broccoli is a great meal. Thank you, not me. That's correct. But W. Birkin says, since we're talking about metals and things going up in value, W. Birkin claims he's getting censored on Twitter for talking about nickels, buying nickels. So I get a nickel every day when I buy my coffee if I pay cash. So I'm saving those nickels. Those are worth twice. They're worth at least twice face value right now based on the metal content, and the government will have to stop producing them at some point. So I suggest that you save your nickels. Interesting to note that W. Birkin says he is actually getting censored for suggesting people go out and buy boxes of nickels. It's the ultimate risk-free investment, actually, in an inflationary future. You can buy nickels. They'll never, ever be worth less than what you pay for them because they'll always be worth a nickel. And actually, if you were to melt them down, they're worth more than double that at this time because of their copper and nickel content. They're 75% copper. So that is one way to save yourself from inflation and save your pennies too, because those are actually worth more than face value as well. So save your change for the future, for the dystopian future. And maybe eventually 1 US nickel will buy you like a gallon of gas, the way 1 US dime from the 1960s will buy you a gallon of gas at, well, more than that, probably buy you 2 gallons of gas now. So save your American money. It always goes up in value eventually, and it is scarce and limited. They only make so much of it. The metal stuff, the paper, never worth anything, actually. although you can always heat your house in the future with paper, your Zimbabwe dollars. So anyway, that's Brooke Rollins. She says, 1 piece of chicken, 1 piece of broccoli, 1 corn tortilla, and something else, maybe an M&M, maybe a peanut M&M. Sounds like a good meal. So anyway, that's what they're saying. Not too popular with the people who want to eat something nice and be able to afford it. So anyway, that's the news. That's that viral video for you so you can see what's going on. Here is Donald Trump's Truth Social tweet. I think we've declared war on Minnesota, basically, by pumping in 3,000 federal, I say troops because that's what they're dressed like, troops in masks. Donald Trump says because of the protests against the ICE people, ICE and DHS, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. So the Insurrection Act, well, let's find out. Tell me more about the Insurrection Act. I think that has to, the 1807 Insurrection Act, last used in 1992 for the LA riots, would allow active duty troops to perform domestic law enforcement, bypassing restrictions like the Posse Comitatus Act and intensifying debates over federal overreach in blue states. Something, once again, that Republicans back in the day, back during like was it the Bundy Ranch situation? Am I saying the name right? That kind of thing. It used to be Republicans were very opposed to federal agents enforcing laws, like the Bureau of Land Management in that case, saying you couldn't graze cattle on federal land. But nowadays, the right embraces federal officers and says you must obey. There's a meme going around showing the 2020 left-wing COVIDians saying, obey the government and you won't die, in relation to the vaccines. And now in 2026, we have the MAGA hat wearing NPC who says, obey the government and you won't die. So that's where we stand. Two wings, same bird. The left wing used to say, obey the government and you won't die from the COVID. Take the COVID shot. Show your papers, actually, back in the day. Show your papers. Show that you were vaccinated. And now the right wing says, just show your papers and then nobody will kill you. So that's where we are today. So that's Donald Trump threatening. He already said there would be something in retribution in Minnesota. Is this all the result of the Nick Shirley videos? Donald Trump was calling out Somalis. I'm trying to get the sequence of events that happened where we decided that Minnesota was the hot spot. There was fraud by Somalians that Trump was talking about. Then Nick Shirley showed the fraud. And then Donald Trump declared war on Somalians and then declared war on Minnesota and sent all these federal goons into Minnesota to start picking people off in the streets and going door to door looking for illegal or not illegal people and then taking them away. He has said that he wants to denaturalize. Part of the goal is not just getting illegal immigrants anymore, and certainly not just getting violent offenders, but also taking legal immigrants and deporting them for if they haven't acted right so far. So that is part of the goal. So anyway, that's the Insurrection Act warning. Here is Tim Walz giving his statement. he is still opposed. The left-wing government. Okay, so the big argument is that the big argument from the Trump administration is that the rioters are actually the fault of Democrat politicians saying bad things about ICE, and that if Democrat politicians didn't say bad things about ICE, then these people wouldn't be rioting in the streets about ICE, which I think is that's questionable in every case. Is we're always trying to blame the other side for some individual or individuals committing violence, as if these individuals have no motivation on their own, and as if they're mind controlled by politicians. I think that's a simplification, an oversimplification of what's going on. Even if the Democrats stopped, I'm not sure that the people would stop. I think the people in Minnesota in particular are upset by some of the things they're seeing in their own communities, and also the viral videos that are spreading, and also obviously the flashpoint of somebody getting killed in a questionable way, whether it was legal, not legal, justified, not justified. Different people look at that video and come away with different ideas. So, and support for ICE overall, support for the whole operation overall is definitely declining. If you look at polls and so forth, where everyone used to support when Donald Trump got elected, he was elected on the popularity of his policy about illegal immigrants, and he closed the border, and people wanted that, and people wanted deportations of the bad hombres. But now, as a result of what people are seeing, that support is waning, to say the least. And more people now are opposed to the immigration things going on than actually support it overall. So that's the situation we're in, regardless of what Democrat politicians say, most likely. But anyway, here is Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, saying what he has to say about it.
What's happening in Minnesota right now defies belief. News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans, kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. That's a direct threat against the people of this state, who dared to vote against him 3 times and who continue to stand up for freedom with courage and empathy and profound grace.
Well, let's see if it's really courage, empathy, and profound grace. He's asking for it at least. But those are fighting words, certainly. Certainly they are fighting words, but are they untrue? Well, I've shown you lots of videos of what ICE is doing. They are pulling people out of cars. They are questioning people who seem to just be walking around asking to see their papers. Gas stations, Tesla charging stations, airports. They are it seems like to me, indiscriminately going up to anyone who isn't white and asking them for papers, and then threatening them if they don't provide papers right away. That seems to be what's happening, at least in certain videos. And I've shown you many of the videos. Tim Walz said this: I'm making a direct appeal to the president. Let's turn the temperature down. Stop this campaign of retribution. This is not who we are. And an appeal to Minnesotans. I know this is scary. We must speak out loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. we cannot fan the flames of chaos. That is what he wants. I think it's true that might be what he wants. I think it's true that a lot of people are looking for this civil war to break out and looking for pretty much any excuse to start it. So we would hope that people would act peacefully and not fan the flames of chaos. They are, though. Here's some bad video of leftists breaking into ICE vehicles and stealing their stuff. So I'll show you that. I believe that's them trying to break into a weapons locker. Stealing a gun.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Bullet? There's some bullets.
What is it?
Oh no.
I think that's a weapons locker. FBI car, apparently.
No way.
Tourniquet there.
Did he get?
Okay.
Hey, don't film that.
Looks like that's the main part of that video. Smashing up an FBI vehicle. So that is lawlessness there taking place on the streets of Minnesota. Someone said, why did they call in the National Guard? Interesting question. They could call in the National Guard. Tim Walz, I suppose, would be able to do that. One person says a civil war over government enforcing the law. Yes. Well, yes and no. I continue to. They are doing more than enforcing the law based on the videos. They're doing more than enforcing the law. Actually, that is a little bit why people are upset. Is because of the things they're doing that are outside of the law, like the thing about just asking people for papers and stuff, which actually is you're not allowed to do. But yes, also they don't want to get. They probably want the violent people here to stay too. So I get what you're saying. We see that both sides have arguments for what they're doing at this time. Here is some normie who rented an SUV getting harassed for having rented an SUV because people think because he's white that he's an ICE agent undercover.
Here you go. There, like I said, I don't have to do this. I'm happy to do this. That's all. We just got to stop this.
So he's got a lot of camera equipment. I think we can say this isn't right.
Yeah, I'm not. I tried to tell the first lady that nobody believes me. That's all I can do is tell you. I already shot. Listen, first of all, I don't have to do any of that, but I'm kind. I respect what you are doing. Yeah, no. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I just don't understand my job and I don't know how to do it.
Were you here yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, he was here yesterday. I can testify that. I didn't recognize him.
No, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
I'm not here to help you.
No, I
think the
understand.
fact that you're in a vehicle like this at this
I
time
get it. But with all due respect to everybody, I get a couple way drive.
Well, you can. You go rent something else. If you're part
Are
of
you
the
going to pay
media.
for it? That's not how it works.
This is my business.
I know.
This is my
not how it works. So anyhow, I hope you guys understand. Not here.
He was here with a video camera yesterday. I did see another vehicle with them, but I did see him with a camera.
Press badge when the company on the side?
No.
They're saying you should rent a different type of vehicle. That's like when I showed up and Antifa told me I shouldn't be wearing a polo shirt because polo shirts mean I'm on that side. So I've never been on any side. People are saying in the chat, never go full libtard. Well, I care about constitutional rights. That's all, actually. And much of what ICE seems to be doing on video, in many people's legal opinion, is just unconstitutional. That's all. You're not allowed to just kidnap people for not showing you ID. That's all, just because they're not white in most cases or have an accent. It's actually, you're not allowed to do that. So ICE, in the extent that they're not operating lawfully, I'm opposed to that. I'm opposed to federal agents coming up to me and harassing me and threatening to throw me in a vehicle, because here's this is just an example of that.
Yes, you are required to.
Where are you safe?
Look, sir, you're gonna do this the easy way, or are we gonna take you in?
You cannot take me in.
Yes,
I'm
I
in
can.
my private.
Yes, I can.
You
Do you have documentation?
I do have my
Can
documentation.
you present it to me?
Why are
please?
you asking me for my paperwork?
Because of your accent.
I still, you have an accent too.
Where were you born, sir?
Where were you born at?
Put your hands behind your back. Yes, you are required to.
So there you go. As far, hey, the guy might be illegal, he might not be, but that, as far as I know, it's not the way it's supposed to go. And the ICE agent had an accent too, actually. News out today that ICE agents, the hiring process is pretty funny. We had news about an anti-ICE Antifa type who got hired by ICE without doing any paperwork. And then apparently they had AI scanning people's documents, and anyone that had officer in their name would be put into, or in their application, if it said officer anywhere in their application, they got sent to an online 4-week training process, because it assumed they were already a law enforcement officer, but it might be like compliance officer, or even in their application, it might say, I want to be an ICE officer. And those people all got shifted into a special training program for law enforcement officers, even though they weren't law enforcement officers. So that was reported on today too. The hiring standards, because they have the biggest budget ever from the big, beautiful bill, they had to hire a bunch of people super fast. And they just hired a bunch of like questionable individuals. That's all. They've hired a most likely a number of questionable individuals who make a lot of money, apparently. One of them bragged that he was making $200,000 with a high school diploma. So pretty impressive if you want to work for ICE. If you want to work for ICE, you can work for ICE easily. So anyway, here is Kristi Noem being questioned about the thing you just saw, which is being asked to show papers on the streets. So here's Kristi Noem.
Secretary, perhaps to follow up, why are we seeing Americans being asked on the street to provide proof of citizenship in Minnesota? Is that targeted enforcement? And are you advising Americans to carry proof of citizenship?
In every situation, we're doing targeted enforcement. If we are on a target and doing an operation, there may be individuals surrounding that criminal that we may be asking who they are and why they're there, and having them validate their identity. That's what we've always done, and asking people who they are so that we know who's in those surroundings. And if they are breaking our federal laws, we will detain them as well until we run that processing. Yes.
She says it's supposed to be targeted. That's all. It's supposed to, they're supposed to have a reason to stop you besides you not being white. That's all. She claims that it's always targeted, and that the videos we're seeing actually aren't real, of people just randomly being stopped at gas stations and other places and asked to show ID and then being threatened with arrest. So that was what we were promised. All right. So anyway, that's the ICE news from my libtard perspective. That's the ICE news from today. So we will see if the Insurrection Act goes into place. If it does, then, well, I would expect things to get even worse. It just seems like both sides are, well, actually, Trump's side is escalating the rhetoric and escalating the force and escalating the whole situation is being escalated, basically, just like the situation with Renee Good was escalated before it resulted the way it did. Things are being escalated from the rhetoric from the White House, in particular, in a way where you could expect people to behave the way they're behaving in response to it. Not saying it's ever right to be lawless and smash up cars and attack people and stuff. But it seems as if it's by design. So if it results in something really bad happening or getting worse in Minnesota, it seems like that's the plan. It seems like the plan is for things to escalate. So that's what we're expecting. We're expecting more escalation, probably, especially if we get down to declaring martial law. That'll be something else. Okay, so that's it on ICE. That's it on Minnesota for now. As far as Iran goes, Lindsey Graham is upset because the reporting is that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman convinced Trump not to attack. And Israel too, Netanyahu in particular, convinced Trump not to attack. And there were multiple reasons for that. One of them being that any attack would not, there's no plan, there's no target in Iran that guarantees that the regime is going to be overthrown. So there's nothing we can do as far as an air campaign, as far as everybody is concerned, even Israel, that's going to guarantee that the Ayatollah is going to be out. Odds on the Ayatollah, I have a bet on it, on Kalshi, that the Ayatollah will be out before the end of the year. The odds went down significantly. I'm out of the money on that bet ever since we decided not to bomb. The other reasons are that it could escalate into a conflict that we can't handle, at least right now. So we're moving an aircraft carrier into the area. I believe it's a Lincoln, some kind of big aircraft carrier, out of the China area and into the Gulf area. So we are moving assets in place so that we would be prepared for the response. Because last time Iran really didn't do anything. And that's why I guess people aren't really that worried about it this time. Because last time we bombed them, it didn't really work out that badly for us. They said they would fight back, but they didn't. In this case, given that they're being directly threatened, people are concerned that they really will fight back and kill American troops on bases. And we need to have more assets in the area to be able to defend against that. So those are some of the reasons. Lindsey Graham is upset about it. He says all of the headlines suggesting that our so-called Arab allies have intervened on behalf of Iran to avoid decisive military action by Donald Trump are beyond disturbing. The Ayatollah's regime has American blood on its hands. They are slaughtering people in the streets. If it is accurate that the Arab response is action is not necessary against Iran, given this current outrageous slaughter of innocent people, then there will be a dramatic rethinking on my part regarding the nature of the alliances now and in the future. So Lindsey Graham is very upset that we haven't followed through on bombing Iran. He was so giddy that we were going to. He also announced that he is going to be traveling to Israel to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu to try to talk Israel into bombing Iran. And into convincing Trump to bomb Iran. It's just his wet dream that we bomb Iran and get rid of the Ayatollah. So that's Lindsey Graham. This is what the White House press secretary said, Carolyn Leavitt said. earlier today about why he decided to taco on Iran, because he did announce it yesterday, because they're not hanging people apparently, and apparently they stopped killing people. That's what Trump said, is that Iran convinced him that they're not killing people anymore and they're not hanging people, which Trump was for some reason concerned about. We support many authoritarian regimes, most notably Saudi Arabia, but also Egypt. We arm them. We fund them. We don't care about authoritarian regimes all over the world in general, and we support them in many cases. And we're supporting one in Venezuela right now. But we are against Iran because, of course, Israel is against Iran. And actually, there's reporting from Israel that the protesters have been armed by foreign actors who we would assume are Israel. So this says, we reported on Channel 14, foreign actors are arming the protesters in Iran with live firearms, which is the reason that hundreds of regime personnel have been killed. So it hasn't just been protesters killed, but actually a lot of Iranian regime soldiers have been killed too. So, but the Iranians really want us to attack. There was a UN meeting today about Iran. Here's an exiled Iranian journalist saying that they are asking for the world to help them.
The Iranian people are asking the world to help through actions, not back-to-back.
Apparently, protesters may have been let down because Trump said he was going to bomb and didn't. And apparently, the protests are over. That's what some people are saying now. Now there are no protesters on the street, apparently. So, and like I said, the odds for Khomeini being out have gone down significantly.
Meetings and empty condemnation. We don't need empty words. People of Iran are asking the Islamic Republic are telling you the Islamic Republic no longer can be reformed, and asking you that the Islamic Republic no longer be treated as a legitimate government. Today, the number of those killed is much higher than I told you. This regime, again and again, cannot be reformed. Let me be very clear. The Islamic Republic behave like ISIS, and the Islamic Republic must be treated like ISIS. This is how you can save lives. Thank you so much.
There you go. That's what the Iranian exiles are saying. Some of them are crazy. A lot of the Iranian exiles are Jewish. That's why they left. And actually, Iranian Jews, Persian Jews, actually run Beverly Hills. They left Iran when the Islamic regime went in, and then they took over different parts of America, including Beverly Hills, where I used to work. So I know. Persian Jews actually took over. They own a lot of the property in Beverly Hills right now. And they don't like the Islamic regime in particular. And so those exiles are the ones telling us we have to bomb them and stuff. So even if it might not be in our interest. Here's Carolyn Levitt responding to a question about it today.
The president and his team have communicated to the Iranian regime that if the killing continues, there will be grave consequences. And the president received a message, as he revealed to all of you and the whole world yesterday, that the killing and the executions will stop. And the president understands today that 800 executions that were scheduled and supposed to take place yesterday were halted. And so the president and his team are closely monitoring this situation, and all options remain on the table for the president. The president and his team.
I see people in the chat demanding that you like this video. The chat is complaining that you bootlickers have not liked this video yet. So please man up and like this video. We worship the algorithm, of course, and the algorithm likes you to like it. So make sure to like the video so you can please the people in the chat. All right, that's the news on Iran. That's the news on Iran. Maria Machado said, so going to Venezuela to give you an update. Maria Corina Machado, who Trump famously said has no respect in Venezuela, and that's why we weren't going to install her as president, even though her party or whoever she was the vice president on the ticket that apparently won the election that got stolen in the first place. Apparently it was like 70-30. She's the one who won the Nobel Peace Prize, even though she was asking for war. Even though she was asking for war, she was asking for Trump to do more and to regime change the government for her. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She met with Trump today and apparently gave him her Nobel Peace Prize. I'll play that.
Maria, did you offer to President Trump your Nobel Peace Prize?
I presented the President of the United States the medal of the Nobel Peace Prize, and I told him this, listen to this. 200 years ago, General Lafayette gave Simón Bolívar a medal.
What she says, the rest of that clip is actually pretty boring. Now let's do it. So she did give him the Nobel Peace Prize. It was reported that some people within the regime, the Donald Trump regime, said that Trump would have installed her if she had given him the Nobel Peace Prize. So everybody was saying, oh, is she going to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Apparently she did. So then she gave some story about Lafayette. Reporting about Venezuela, which was supposed to be free. Remember, the invasion of Venezuela and the takeover of Venezuela was supposed to pay for itself because we're going to commandeer the oil and we'll immediately start drilling lots of their oil. It's not going to be free. We are going to have to subsidize oil companies if they're going to go in there. And apparently we're thinking about sending private contractors in since we don't want American troops on the ground. This is what the oil companies will demand, is security. So we're going to send in the Blackwater, possibly. And this notes that we spent $138 billion funding private contractors in Iraq. So we may be set to be spending a lot of money on private contractors rather than sending in our own troops to Venezuela. The War Powers Resolution failed because a few people chickened out. Notably, Josh Hawley chickened out because Trump threatened him and said he should never be elected again. So Trump talked two Republican senators out of voting for the War Powers Resolution, which was going to say that Trump couldn't attack Venezuela without congressional approval. So it ended up failing 51-50 with J.D. Vance being the tie-breaking vote because two Republicans were talked out of it by Donald Trump. I'll play you what Josh Hawley said right here.
I do want to ask you this, Senator. President Trump came after you hard the other day. This is just a few days ago. He posted on Truth Social. He said the following, which we can put up on the screen. Republicans should be ashamed of the senators that just voted with Democrats and attempting to take away our powers to fight and defend the United States of America. He listed several senators, including you, Senator Josh Hawley. He said should never be elected again. You've changed your vote on the War Powers Resolution now, not voting with those senators. Tell me why you voted the original way and why you changed.
Well, for me, this has always been about ground troops, ground troops into Venezuela, occupying Venezuela. That's not something that I think I would want to do. And listen, I talked to the president, I talked to the Secretary of State, I talked to the Department of Justice. I thank the administration for all of their outreach. And what the Secretary of State said to me very clearly is, we're not doing that. We don't have ground troops in Venezuela. This is not another Iraq. We're not going to occupy Venezuela. And you know what? That's good enough for me.
Okay.
What a weakling. That's good enough for me. They just told me they're not going to do it. So we're not going to insist. They said they're not going to do it. So that's good enough. Well, so that's what happened with that. Josh Hawley chickened out. Normally, the Congress has to approve war actions, and they theoretically maybe should have had to have been at least notified about the Maduro thing, which they weren't. So that's the news from Venezuela. We are probably going to have to spend money. Our oil companies don't want to go in there without significant guarantees and probably financial help from the White House. So it's never exactly as easy as they say. All right, here's so that's that news. That's the international news, I think, for today. That's our international news. And Donald Trump today announced the idea for the Great Healthcare Plan. So healthcare is becoming a huge expense for Americans, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. I've tried to analyze what the plans are from the Republicans to try to fix it. The Democrats want to pass extensions to tax credits, which apparently is never going to happen. That's what they're saying. Tax credits to fund people buying off of the ACA marketplace, the Obamacare marketplace, where costs are spiraling out of control and more people can't afford it at all. Trump has a proposal. He came out. This is his major proposal for the Great Healthcare Plan to lower costs on healthcare. So we'll play that and analyze whether that is what is going to fix the problem.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for all Americans and truly make healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. And for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay. And the American people will get the savings. So I have to reiterate, the lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay. Before, you were paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking Congress to complete the work that we've started. Next, my plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act, with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700%. As you paid more money for health care every single year, more and more, the premiums went higher and higher. I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare, and you'll make a great deal. You get better healthcare for less money. That way you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the cost. But we're driving down the costs. And it fully funds a long neglected part of the law known as the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. This measure alone should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there are any because it's a hated program. It's unaffordable, but it's going to cut them by an average of 10 to 15%. Next, the Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name. It's called the Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare at a lower price. Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profiteer at your expense. As the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. That is why my plan orders all insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons in very plain English. It requires insurers to publish detailed information about how much of your money they're going to be paying out in claims versus how much they're taking in profits. In other words, you will be able to watch the scam. It forces them to release detailed data on how many claims are being denied and whether those denials are eventually overturned on appeal. And most importantly, it will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices at their place of business so that you are never surprised and you can easily shop for a better deal or better care. And you're going to end up doing both. You're going to get a better deal and better care. We will have maximum price transparency and costs will come down incredibly. I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law without delay. Have to do it right now so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, the people I love. Thank you very much.
So there you go. That's a great healthcare plan. I am known for being critical of Trump and pretty much everything he suggests because a lot of it is crazy. I saw somebody ask about interest rate caps. I'll cover that too because I bet on that too. The great healthcare plan. He's going to. Well, one thing I will say is amusing is that he says he's going to stop giving money to health insurance companies. He's going to give you money so you can give it to health insurance companies, which is just kind of funny. One way or the other, the money is supposedly going to go to buy you a new healthcare plan. I don't know how it works that is going to make healthcare cheaper because most people who buy off of the Obamacare marketplace, that's the main place to go if you're self-employed to get health insurance. And there aren't really that many other options. Apparently there are some other options. I asked Gemini about it. Apparently there are some other options, but I'm not sure exactly how that immediately brings down the cost of healthcare. And some people are saying he might give you like $2,000, which might be good for a few months of insurance, the way rates are right now. When you're not buying it through your employer. So, and once again, it's meant to go to health care companies one way or the other. So I don't know exactly how it brings rates down. Here's the published plan, which you can't read, which I even can't read without putting on my, wow, very difficult to read. Somehow we're going to get lower insurance premiums by sending money directly to the American people. It's going to fund a cost sharing reduction program for healthcare plans, which would save taxpayers at least $36 billion, apparently, and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%. And it's going to cut kickback costs, which is good. I mean, several things in the plan are good. Publishing rates, publishing claim denial rates, all of those things for transparency are good. They want to create a plain English insurance standard where health insurance companies publish the rate and coverage comparisons in plain English. And then the stuff about lower drug prices, I do commend him for negotiating with the drug companies to give us favored nation status. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. Our healthcare system is totally broken. One thing that people point out is that when you have insurance, you pay more for healthcare. I think that's the primary problem. People point out MRI rates in particular as an example of that. As when you have insurance, they'll charge you $3,500 for an MRI, where if you're paying cash and shopping around, you can get it for 1/10 of that price for maybe $350. So there are several things broken about our healthcare system. I'm not sure that his proposal will significantly make rates go down, but he did make a big proposal today. We'll see what happens. It's one of the things that's making life much more expensive for people. Here's Carolyn Levitt trying to well, it's exactly the same. It's we'll give you money. Instead of giving money to health insurance companies, we'll give you money so you can give it to health insurance companies. That's basically the plan. It's kind of weird when you put it that way. So I have news from the ADL. Okay, so that's the news on the healthcare plan. Big announcement from Trump today, so you guys at least can see it. Don't know what the chances are that it'll pass. Someone asked about capping credit card rates. It's something you can wager on. I saw Mike Johnson say that it was a bad idea. I know it's a bad idea. Banks obviously are saying it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to cap credit card rates because they'll cancel everybody's credit card. Most people who don't have perfect credit will lose access to credit if they do 10% is insane. Like you can't get a 10% car loan unless you have good credit. So saying that they'll cap rates for everybody, even people with poopy credit scores at 10%, that's insane. They just won't give you, they'll cancel your credit card. So it'll actually be worse for Americans who want to have credit cards or who need credit cards to get by sometimes. So it's a very bad plan. And I saw Mike Johnson admit that it was a bad plan, which means that I don't think it's going to pass. I made a pretty significant wager on it. Once I saw that you could bet on it, the odds were actually way higher than I thought they should be. So I bet on it. Here is the chances on Kalshi, which just fell off. 22% chance that credit card rates will be capped this year. So far, so good as far as me betting on it. But I was like, oh yeah, there's no way we're going to do it because it's so bad it's actually not good it just wouldn't be good for people. It sounds great. A news organization said it would save people $100 billion if they passed it, which is true if they were able to keep their credit cards, but it would just, people would still need credit and they just go to even worse sources that charge even higher rates, payday lenders, buy now, pay later, loan sharks, etc. So there's a reason credit card rates are what they are. It's a very competitive market. They are high, but they're high because you can always just stop paying. And that's part of the deal. And since you can just stop paying and walk away from it, they charge a high rate for people to keep a balance. So don't keep a balance, pay it off. It is what it is. Get your credit card rewards, get your cash back rewards. Take advantage of it. Mike says they can't cancel your credit card. They will just reduce or won't give more credit. Yeah, however you want to look at it. They'll cut they may not cancel you, but they could immediately cap your credit at what your balance is. And then as you pay it off, they can just keep reducing how much you can. So they can just not let you spend anymore. I don't know if they can't cancel you. The banks say I think they can. They can just keep, or they can reduce your credit limit to where it doesn't matter anymore and make you get it secured. So they can just say, oh, well, yeah, you can have credit, but you have to get a secured credit card where you have to give them cash in the amount of your credit limit so that they can take your cash if you don't pay. So yeah, that news. Yeah, I made a bet on it. I think there's zero chance, but you never know. People can be stupid. It is kind of popular. It is a popular idea, but it's just a bad idea. Here is the ADL saying they're working with the left and the right to cancel people they don't like. So I'll play that for you. Here's our favorite person, Jonathan Greenblatt at the ADL, talking about how they're going to be working with people to cancel Nick, Tucker, and Hassan Piker.
Jonathan, can you comment on Nick Fuentes and what do you actually do that effectively can counter what he does? And what are your expectations of the government to be critical of a person that has that kind of platform?
So for everyone's benefit, the question was, can I comment on Nick Fuentes and what he does? And what are you doing to counter him? And what's the government's role?
By the way, his second name is Joseph, a good Jewish name.
Nick Fuentes' second name is Joseph?
Yes.
Look, his last name is Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a Hispanic person, okay? And he is an open, unapologetic, racist, homophobe, and more than anything, an anti-Semite. He's a toxic, disgusting person.
He also doesn't like women.
Thanks
Remember
to
that.
X and social media, he's been incredibly effective at getting his message out there. I mean, social media is a super spreader of anti-Semitism and hate. And people like Nick Fuentes, they're like patient zero spreading this. And look, it didn't help us when candidate, or whatever you'd call him, former President Trump had him over for dinner, like at Mar-a-Lago a few years ago. And it doesn't help us that when given the opportunity, people in positions of power don't renounce this guy. Now, look, to his credit, J.D. Vance has done that. But we have this challenge right now on the right, and it's like a good thing because there are bad voices who've been elevated. Like, look, Nick Fuentes is disgusting. Tucker Carlson is disgusting. Candace Owens is disgusting, and so on. But there have been good people like Ted Cruz and Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin who are pushing back on these, Speaker Johnson, pushing back on these revolting lunatics. So to answer the question, I think the only way we are going to defeat the rising anti-Semitism on the right is from the right. I think the only way we're going to defeat the rising anti-Zionism on the left is by people on the left. So what I try to do at ADL, what we try to do is to provide data, is to provide tools, is to step up, but often quietly behind the scenes. It doesn't help. I don't think it helps the Jewish people, and it doesn't disarm them when I go after Nick Fuentes or Hassan Piker, a revolting person. You should call him Hamas Piker. He's here in LA, and he's just a putrid, says horrible, slanderous things about Jews, about Zionists, about Israel.
And has a big platform.
Yeah, so you might not know Hassan Piker, but if your kids are watching video games, you better believe they do. Because on Twitch and on Steam, he's everywhere, let alone on YouTube and Insta. So anyways, long story short, we definitely are working a lot to try to get the platforms to kind of enforce their own terms of service so that we can pull down the most offensive hate speech or get them to do it. But I need people on the right to take down Tucker Carlson. So I'm trying to help Ted Cruz. I need people on the right to take down Nick Fuentes. So I'm trying to help people like Ben, and same thing on the left.
I do just want to say
There
what
you
I
go.
talked in the sermon about.
So he's working with everybody to take down the anti-Semites and anti-Zionists. So here is, it's always fun when they say what they're doing. They being, who should I say they is? I don't know. I renounce anti-Semitism, particularly low IQ anti-Semitism. I agree with Nick Fuentes about that. And I agree, actually, that there is a proliferation of it because of the algorithms and because people can get paid for it. It is popular, but it might, they have to ask the reasons why it's popular, why people want to see it. But there is such a thing as anti-Semitism, which I am opposed to, just for the record. Here is Greenblatt saying the ADL is working with evangelical churches to make sure they're pro-Jewish enough.
A couple months ago, ADL announced a new partnership with the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. I'm sure you never heard of it. It is the organizing table for Latino evangelicals. Do you know the fastest growing segment of the evangelical community? Latinos. We have roughly 2,000 active synagogues in America. There are 42,000 active Hispanic evangelical churches. Right now, the ADL is co-writing Sunday school curriculum with them. Right now, the ADL is working on joint lobby days with them. And these people are not just gettable, they want to work with us. So again, I love the 1960s model of allyship. It's great, whatever. This is now. We need new allies. We need to be on offense, finding creative ways. So again, I can't create all that content ourselves, but Jews and Latinos, Jews, Latinos, and Hindus, and Mormons, and so on, you better believe we can change the world.
There you go. So it's the biggest Zionists are Christians. I've said it before. The largest, way bigger than the ADL, is the CUFI, Christians United for Israel. There are a lot more Christian Zionists than there are Jews in the whole dang world. That's for sure. 2,000 synagogues. It's hard to believe. Only 2,000 and so much influence. There just aren't that many of them. But to say they're not influential, it's crazy. But no luck controlling the social media platforms entirely. TikTok is still TikTok, and even with Zionist apparently in charge there, they took over CBS though with Larry Ellison. So I know the person they put at the head of CBS News is going to make sure they're pro-Israel all the time. But here is just another Jewish conference, since we're on the topic, talking about changing history.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They can't. The history, and it's. I should be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought, but the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel. Though that the aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas, and we need to make sure that the history books reflect that, and that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our grandchildren, about it in a way that is serious and thoughtful and complete and moral. The next generation of
October, it all goes back to October 7th, which it seems like they allowed to happen at the very least. And then it also seems like they did the Hannibal Directive and blew up a lot of people so they wouldn't be taken hostage. So a lot of the deaths on October 7th were the result of Israeli armament. And a lot of the deaths were Israeli soldiers too. A lot of the civilians who were killed were actually killed by Israelis, it seems like. But all the same, AIPAC is very happy, since we're on the Jewish news segment of the show. AIPAC is very happy because we just committed another $3.3 billion in security assistance to Israel. From what I understand, it's up and above the $3.8 billion that we give annually. We also decided to cut funding to all of the institutions that are critical of Israel, including UNRWA, the ICJ, and the ICC, who are investigating the genocide in Gaza. So Israel AIPAC is very happy by what was passed in a bipartisan way by the House of Representatives just recently, which is more money for Israel and defunding all of Israel's opponents, including UNRWA, ICC, ICJ, and the Commissioning of Inquiry against Israel. which they all view as being anti-Semitic. So everybody was on board, bipartisan. I mean, there were a number of people who voted against it, but it was mostly bipartisan today. All right, Carolyn Levitt. Let's see. What do we want to cover from that? Carolyn Levitt spoke today. Everybody was talking about her yelling at this reporter for asking about ICE. I'll play it for you since it's in the news today. The White House actually retweeted it. They love it when they attack the press. This person in the press had an opinion which Carolyn Levitt didn't like. So I'll play that for you.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally. And earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE. And Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist. And it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
There you go. So the White House was happy about that. It's an ongoing war with the press. A lot of people like that stuff. So I just thought I'd play it for you. The White House retweeted that today. She also talked about Greenland. We're establishing a working group to acquire Greenland. Greenland still doesn't want us to. We're talking about $700 billion or more than $10 million per resident for Greenland. So they have apparently established a working group for technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. I'll play that for you.
It's a productive meeting. It was a good meeting. And in that meeting, the two sides agreed to really establish a working group of individuals who will continue to have technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. Those talks will take place, I'm told, every 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a conversation the administration intends to keep having with the Danes and with the respected delegation from Greenland. But the president has made his priority quite clear. He wants the United States to acquire Greenland. He thinks it's in our best national security to do that.
Seems like it's slowed down. She says it's going to meet every 2 to 3 weeks. So it seems like there's not going to be military action anytime soon. Here is the foreign minister of Greenland talking to Fox News.
So I'm just doing the math here. 56,000, they get $500,000 a person. I mean, you don't think they're going to vote to break away?
No, not at all. Because I think there's no way that U.S. will pay for a Scandinavian welfare system in Greenland, honestly speaking. You haven't introduced a Scandinavian welfare system.
But you also don't believe. So
anyway, he says because they get so much in welfare. Interesting point. He says because they get so much in welfare, because they're in a socialist system already there. Interesting point. 500,000, but no, I mean, at the numbers they're talking about, it could be literally $10 million per person. I don't know how they would distribute it, but they're talking about 700 billion, apparently. Where the money comes from, who knows? I have no idea. No idea. All right. In AI news, people are sharing a lot of videos about the advancement of AI and how you won't be able to believe anything you see in the future. I played some of that on the show yesterday. This new face swapping technology seems to be quite advanced. And it seems to me like I may be able to appear as an what do they call them? E-girls. That's a lot of the face swaps people are showing. that I may be able to appear as an e-girl in the future and thirst trap people to watch my show. So, which I try to do now, but it's more difficult. So in the future, I may be able to thirst trap better by modifying my appearance and maybe my voice. So anyway, here's the latest video they're showing of somebody acting something out. I haven't even watched it, actually. 30 seconds long. Somebody acting something out and having Leonardo DiCaprio do exactly that. So let's take a look at how good it is.
Christopher.
May I ask who's calling?
Hey, Christopher, this is Giuliano Massarelli. I was reaching out about the life insurance Ingrid sent in. Did you end up getting that in place?
I've already asked, I don't know how many times. If you take it off your call list, I'm good. Don't order that.
Oh, okay. So you got your family protected?
We're good, yes.
Okay, and what type of coverage did you end up getting?
So there you go.
Christopher.
So there you go. I don't know if that was also Leonardo DiCaprio's voice, but there it is. A total face swap, total location swap, everything. Looks very good. Some people are saying, like Autism Capital is saying, that this will force us to return to reality. Once reality becomes like this, where we can't trust anything that we see on the internet anymore, then everyone will be forced to go back to seeing people in person, having dinners together, touching grass, etc. I'm not sure if I believe it or not. I believe we are terminally online forever. But that is one proposal, is that now that reality will soon be completely unrecognizable, and we won't be able to discern between what's real and what's not real, that we will return to being humans again, and the technology will force us back into humanity. So there it is. All right, let's see if anybody gave us any coffees today. I will review. Remember, you can always support the show anytime, even after the show's over, by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can also circumvent that by going to Cash App and going to $LTV411. That's me. And I did not get any coffees for today's show. Today's show is, I've gone full libtard, of course, giving opinions, of course, which are always controversial. But we appreciate everybody who hangs with us for the shows. So we will try to talk about things that people tune in for and give us coffees for. And as always, we will try to bring you the news. Somebody in the chat mentioned that you don't have to watch TV or follow anything if you tune into the hour and a half or so of the Lift the Veil show every day. You will be caught up on everything important that's happening in the world, even if sometimes you disagree with the host. But I guarantee you that if you stay tuned long enough, you won't disagree with me about everything, because we're always on different sides of different things. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. And I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. We should be back at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks again for tuning in. Please join me for every show. Make sure to like the video, hit the bell, hit subscribe, hit the bell to make sure you get your notifications, and leave a comment. Also good for the algorithm. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Always good to see you. And we'll see you at the next one. For now, that's what it is.